Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So this is where we interview people that are crushing it in this business. And we show you guys the inside scoop into, how multifamily investors are creating massive success in their businesses and in their lives. And as always, got our co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for my Warrior Mentorship Program, Mark Nagy, on the call. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Rod, doing well. I'm super excited for this one because we were just talking about this is a really cool story of just seeing a student of yours come full circle from 1 year ago today, getting started, roughly 1 year ago until today. So it's kind of a unique story over the past year, and just hearing what he's got to say here and what he's done.
Yeah, we've got Rasul Mutawakil, and I think I may have come close to pronouncing that right on the show. And he's a cool guy. He's actually a financial analysis expert. He's he used to actually be a veteran intelligence operative with the U.S. Army, so we have to thank him for his service. But anyway, he's been a warrior for not quite a year. In August, it'll be a year. He's at 166 doors, 10 million in assets under management, and just going to have some fun today. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rod and Mark. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So I suppose let's start where we always start, and just have you tell a little bit about your story, because I mean, it's really cool to see this progression and see you kicking butt, man. And I know a little bit of the secret to your success. I'm not gonna spill the beans on that, but tell us your story, buddy.
Well, as far as commercial, like you said, it's not even been a year ago. So if you actually go back to a year before today, I actually didn't know anything about commercial multifamily at all. I actually had a buddy of mine who was also a warrior, Marvin Mitchell. He asked me if I knew about Rod Khleif, and I wasn't actually in your free group on Facebook, but I never really did any of the meetups or the what do you call those, the Bootcamp. I never did any of that stuff. And he had me sign on, and I was like, all right, cool, let's see what this is about. So once I went through the course material, and that was it. It opened up my mind, because I had real estate. I had a duplex I ran as an Airbnb. That was my first foray into real estate investment. I started that pretty recently as well. So I'm very new into real estate. I started that in 2018 with my wife. We decided, hey, we're in a comfortable position. We can start taking some risks. Let's start to get to that next level in life. So we did the Airbnb, which was, in hindsight, a nightmare. Made a lot of money, but crazy amount of headaches, awesome learning experiences. And we both said to each other, there's got to be a better way. There's people who are doing thousands of deals, and I'm dying with two. So long story short, once I figured out how people scale up, they work as a team in multifamily, which I really, really appreciate that. I actually need that. There's no way I can imagine doing everything that I'm doing with these units that I have with just me and my wife. We've got a young one right now, 2 years old, and then another one's coming in December. So it's going to be even harder to try to manage this stuff. So having an
Congratulations.
Awesome team, thanks so much. Yeah, having that awesome team, and most of my team consists of warriors, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, I will say something about you, and I say this to all the warriors, and that is, get connected. And that my most successful warriors, without question, are the ones that are most connected. And you are a connection fool. I mean, I see you post in the Facebook group all the time where you've met somebody, they've come into town, or you've gone to see them or whatever. I think you've done that, maybe 10 times I've seen. It's been a lot. So, just great to see that, and great to see that you listen and actually took action. Talk a little bit about what you did just prior to, getting into real estate. Cause I think like you were like a Korean linguist or some crazy stuff after 9/11. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird. I graduated high school in 2001 in June, and I did pretty well in school. I had a 4.3 GPA. And I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to go to college. I was like, I had scholarships to FSU, and I was like, something told me I didn't want to go. I didn't know what to do. And so a recruiter had come to my house and trying to, try to get me to join, say, hey, this is a good alternative. And I was like, I'm not sure. And 9/11 happened, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. I was like, you know what? I had just watched Full Metal Jacket. I was like, it's my time. I got to go and man up, because I was a scared, shy kid. I'm not very, I wasn't very gregarious like I am now. I was extremely like introverted and everything like that. So I initially joined the military, do my service for one, use my intelligence to help out the cause, fight for the country, and then two, I wanted to get toughened up and do all that stuff that Army people do, like be all you can be. And so that was an awful time joining the military after 9/11 in wartime. I didn't know what to expect about it, but I made it through fairly unscathed, a little bit of disability here and there. And I decided, all right, you know what? I need to go to get my education. I put that off. I need to go get something done. And a girl I was dating at the time said, hey, you love video games. By the way, my Super Nintendo's up there still. You should go and make that your job. So I went and got a degree in video game programming, right? And so that I went to Full Sail in Orlando. If any of you guys are familiar with that.
Oh yeah, I took my daughter there. That's a cool university. Okay,
yeah, it's awesome. It was really cool. I hated it. Making video games is nowhere near as fun as playing it. But I had the skill. I did really well in that as well. So it definitely helped set me up for the future later on. But that was right around the time of the Great Recession. I've heard your story tons of times, Rod, where you talk about everything that you lost. I couldn't even get a job as a programmer back then. So, necessity is the mother of all invention. I actually went to a cattle call for a sales job selling life insurance. And I was like, I got to pay my rent. So I got to do something. So I ended up getting my life insurance license. And that's how I got into sales. And I think of everything that I've done in my life, learning sales is probably the most crucial skill that I've ever really amassed in my life.
Guys, I hope you heard what he just said. That's absolutely the truth. Your ability to influence is probably one of the most important precursors to success. And so sales, influence. And so, you did some door-to-door. I think I even saw you did some insurance door-to-door knocking. My son, he just went and worked. He works for my brother selling roofing. He knocking on doors up there. And I'm like, fantastic. Because that's how I learned as well, knocking on doors of foreclosures to buy houses. So there's, that's fantastic skill set. Thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely. It builds character for sure.
That was one thing I wanted to ask you about, because obviously knocking doors is not something that a lot of people do, even in the sales industry. And I know we talk about this a lot in multifamily, is be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. So tell us about some things that you've been willing to do in multifamily that you feel that, a lot of people aren't willing to do, that's gotten you to where you are.
Well, Rod touched on it a bit. Getting myself out there and networking. Anytime I can get someone to sit still, I ask them, what do you do, with your investments, or, what's your plan? Do you invest in real estate or anything like that? I just asked. And I talk to everybody. I think my wife at this point is a little bit, peeved. She's like, oh my God, there he goes again. We were in vacation in the Keys, and I was just in the pool, and these guys came up to me. I was like, oh yeah. They're like, what do you do? I said, I buy apartment buildings. What do you guys do? I do construction. I was like, we should have this conversation, because some of my properties are in Ohio where these guys live. And it just seems like everybody that I talk to is either very interested in wanting to do so. They have no idea how to do it. They never even think. They just, they always say the same 3 T's, tenants, termites, toilets, and stuff like that. And they're like, it's not for me, and everything like that. And so I talk to them about being passive investors and how they can get, that mailbox money, and your ears perk up, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't have to do any of that headache stuff. I'm like, nah, you can get double-digit returns. What's your bank account getting you right now?
Right.
0.01%. Right. I was like, well, my target minimum is 10% cash on cash.
Right.
15% IRRs is what I strive to get for all my investors. And they're like, yeah, here's my phone number. Give me a call. And so
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And let me ask you this, because you're analytical, but you're so gregarious. Would you say you're more of an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm a little bit of both. If I had to pick one, I'm a homebody, man.
Yeah, an introvert. Okay. Yeah. That's so you're really unique in that regard. And typically, I mean, you're just really stretching yourself, which is really even more admirable, because, I know as an introvert, you get energy from being alone. As an extrovert, we get energy from being around other people. So, okay. So let me ask you this. What are you now? You've created teams. Oh, by the way, I see your sword back there. You got your friggin' warrior sword back there. So guys, I don't know if you know this. And when one of our students gets their first deal, they get this awesome freaking sword in the mail from us. And it's really cool, actually a cool sword. But anyway, when in these teams that you have created, what role are you playing? Are you playing the connection person, building the connections, or are you doing the analysis? Are you doing both? Just give me an idea.
My primary role is capital raising.
Okay.
So after going through the course material, my very simple, dumbed down version is like, there's three things, three essential components to doing a deal. You got to have the experience, you got to have the boots on the ground, and you got to have the money.
Right.
By virtue of me being brand new, I don't have experience. I live in Miami, so I don't buy anything down here. It's like crazy expensive. My backyard is like extremely difficult to get involved in. And so I started networking virtually. Everything I've done is virtual. I haven't even left Miami to do these deals, but I've got a deal in St. Louis, one in Cleveland Heights in Ohio, looking at Cumberland, Maryland. I'm looking at San Antonio right now. It's all over the US. Everything's virtual. And I have trusted investors in each one of those cities. And when they hit me up, they're like, hey, I've got this deal under contract, take a look. So I do the underwriting. I make sure that the metrics are there. I'm extremely conservative because this market is terrifying me personally, is how I look at it. So I don't want my foray into using investor money to go sideways whatsoever. So I have a whole bunch of buffers for conservative underwriting in that regard.
Nice.
But yeah, and so
why don't you speak to those for a moment? So talk about the stress testing and the buffers that you're utilizing right now, because that's a fascinating topic. And so, guys, what I'm talking about is when you're looking at a deal, you do what's called stress testing it, where you look to see, at what point you can break even, for example, is a stress test. So go ahead and speak to yours.
So a couple of those things. One, the first thing I start with is the rent roll. All right, I see how much money it's currently bringing in and what it can do. That's going to be a very heavy indicator on my purchase price, right? Because I want it to cash flow day one. I don't want to buy it where it's bleeding money out, or I have to get like a bridge loan. I will do it if the deal's right, but typically all my things are cash flowing at least 8% day one. Because beauty of the Midwest, I guess. And then the next thing I do is I look in that market. I see what are the potential rents. What are market rents currently going for? Just on average, not necessarily newly renovated units, but what can I reasonably expect to get from these units once we do our repositioning and everything like that. And at that point, I sometimes only consider 90, maybe 95% of that amount. I don't want to take it right to market, even though I have a good chance of getting that, especially with renovated units. Right. The next thing I look at are the rent escalations. I start off with, sometimes people like to do 3-4% average, depending on the market. I actually go 0% year one. And then I do 1% year two and 2% year three, and I keep it at. Yeah, so I'm that's
very conservative. Like we've got a deal in San Antonio right now that we're actually we're conservative as well, but it's much more aggressive on the amount just based on historically what it's done there. Like we're at 3%, but actually we're using that number as our complete rent growth, including from our. Never mind. You know what? I'm speaking out of turn because what we're doing on ours is we're actually rolling our new rent amounts into that percentage, even based on repositioned units. But do you do a break even test, for example? Is that do you ever look at that?
Oh yeah, I want to see at what point does my debt service become one, right? And, a lot of times I'm looking at 50-60% because I can only get in on really, really good deals because of how conservative I underwrite. And I fully expect to be a little bit more aggressive, either when I have more of these deals that are progressed further along, or when something happens in this market that just provides big opportunity to start buying up a lot faster.
That's a really good point. So yeah, like just as an example, in the San Antonio deal we have under contract right now, we're raising money for, we can break even at 59% economically occupied, which is really very freaking conservative.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, it's a screaming deal.
Yeah. So I know talking about another deal, Russell, you mentioned you're working on a 14 unit and you're looking to add 4 units, which is unique. We don't get to talk about that very often. I only hear about those sorts of deals every once in a while. But for the people listening that want to do something like that, what made you decide that, you know, you wanted to add and build brand new units on top of this deal? What was kind of the indicator there?
Well, the indicator is actually a lot more straightforward than you think. The guy has 14 units and 4 units are being used as storage, like on top of the 14. It already has plumbing in there, has running water. All we need to do, you know, they got windows, you just make it studios or efficiencies, and it's going to increase the NOI by 30%. It was a no-brainer.
Nice.
So let's back into that a little bit. If I could ask, how'd you get in front of that opportunity? For most people listening, they're probably thinking, well, yeah, that is obvious. That's a huge value add. This owner doesn't know what he's doing. How'd you put yourself in front of that opportunity to be potentially closing on that deal?
Might be telling on myself here, but I don't look for deals. They all come to me. Everything that I've done over this past year, I used to make the calls, talk to wholesalers, bird doggers, go direct to seller, I was on the phone for hours. I mean, like I say hours, you know, I do my 9 to 5. My job is 6 to 2:30. And after that, my wife takes the kid, leave, I lock the doors. I'm in here going to like 11 o'clock at night. I'm gonna do what others won't do. Right. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm up doing all that stuff. And
I'm really impressed because I thought you were doing this full time already. And I just based on how prolific you are with your connections. So basically, if I'm going to translate what Mark just asked you, your answer, your translation is you've built so many connections that you have deals coming at you.
Yep.
So guys, again, this business is a team sport. It's a connection sport. And here's a perfect example of someone who not naturally an extrovert has gone out there and built this. By the way, if you're interested in our Warrior Mentorship Program, for God's sakes, check it out. There's an application process, but just text the word crush to 72345. Again, just text the word crush because we help you crush it like we have with Razul. Text the word crush to 72345 and we'll set up a call to see if you're a fit for us. And of course, if we're a fit for you. So anyway, so
I got to say about that, by the way, if you guys are listening, I 100% believe that all the success I've had in commercial is completely because of Rod and his program and the team that he has providing the support. I had a coach who walked me through when I had deals that I was underwriting, trying to figure everything out. Like I talk about the underwriting right now. I had no idea what any of this stuff meant. 0%. I knew nothing. Like when I say nothing, I absolutely mean zero. And the program actually gave me the basis of knowledge that I needed. And I went really hard, right? Because I wasn't doing all the calls in the beginning. When I signed up, I dedicated myself after work, like 3 to 4 hours every single day, going through the course modules, watching the videos, rewatching the videos, taking notes. I got 57 pages of notes that I took on the course because it's very long. And it took me 2.5 months. So my first year, right? I'm coming up here, my first 2.5 months, we're just studying and trying to get my knowledge base up.
With a full-time job and kids.
And a kid, yeah.
And I see pictures with you and your kids. You're not like an absentee dad by any stretch of the imagination. I see that on Facebook. So what do you love? What do you love the most about this business?
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. That's why I said, it's a toss-up. I'm an introvert and I'm an extrovert. Okay. It depends on the scene with other people to being extroverted, but when I'm around other like-minded individuals, it's very energizing. I don't like to go out and socialize and just party and drink for the sake of doing that. But like I went to that Secret X trip earlier this year.
Yeah.
It was amazing. A whole bunch of people who have the same goal, same mindset. They think the same way. It's extremely refreshing to be out in an environment like that. And it charges me up. And it gives me the motivation to continue finding more people like that and helping more people like that, adding value.
Well, you may be an extrovert then. I'll tell you, you may actually be an extrovert. But bottom line is the secret to success in this business is those relationships. And if you truly are listening and you truly are an introvert and you're like, okay, I don't want to do that, then you just align with someone that's not afraid to build those connections. Mm-hmm. and make those things happen. And one thing he just talked about, which is super important, is the power of your peer group. Whether you join the Warriors or not, he was talking about another event that I actually went to as well, from some of my students put together, that went to Costa Rica, which was very cool. And the year before we went to Jamaica, because again, you want to be around people that expect big things of you, that hold you to a higher standard, that aren't intimidated, fearful, or jealous of your success, that aren't going to hold you back. And, who you hang out with is who you become, guys. And so choose carefully. Most people, default to the people they work with or went to school with, but you've got to be proactive and pick people that frankly think what you think is hard is easy. That's why I started my mastermind. And, that where Rasul and I went was a mastermind, bottom line. So, be cognizant of that and get around people that want more.
And one other thing on that topic, by the way, is that's why I love these multifamily rockstars episodes so much. Obviously, the warrior group, that takes it to a whole nother level, but just listening to somebody who says, I've got kids, I've got a family. I literally knew zero when I started this, and a year later, where you at, it just gives you the confidence, right? If other people that are listening right now that are maybe in that exact same situation, you can walk into this knowing that with the right help, like absolutely, you can do it as well. And on that topic, Russell, I'd love to get your opinion. Obviously, you're very good at networking now. That's your skill set. But what are some skill sets or even mindsets that you think everybody should have getting into this business?
The first thing about mindset, I think the mindset itself is just really, really crucial. So I grew up in not the best part of Miami, a place called Perrine. If you guys are familiar with the area, Cutler Ridge area, something like that. And a lot of times, opportunity is not really shown to us growing up. If it wasn't for my dad being the entrepreneur that he is, I would never have even thought to own my own business one day or anything like that. My whole entire vision of success is the same as everybody else. Get a good job, go to college, get a good job, get that house with the white picket fence, 2.5 kids, and then put stock money away in the stock market for 30 years, and then hopefully have enough when you retire to live on right before the money runs out. That's what I thought what success was. And when you have that shift in mindset, I'm like everybody else, guilty. It's kind of like cliche to say it, but when I got out of the military in 2006, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that was the first feeding into my mind of oh, something's a little bit different. I never thought about doing something like that. That was 2006. I didn't buy my first property until 2018, right? So it's really important about taking action. Don't just get the knowledge, right? I slept for 12 years.
Wow.
But
imagine where you'd be if you'd freaking started back then.
2006, probably
well, 6 would have been bad, but let's say you started in 9. Oh my God, you'd be you'd be in the thousands of units. So you will be. Now, let me ask you, in fact, on that topic, what's the driver, brother? You just talked about your dad. You just gave your dad credit, which is cool as hell. I just saw a something on Facebook or Insta or something where somebody gave their dad a Ferrari. Isn't that freaking cool? Like the dream car. And I mean, what do you have any giant bucket list goals that involve other people?
Absolutely. For my dad doesn't want a Ferrari. He wants a Rolls Royce Ghost.
Okay.
Asked them. I said, Mom, Dad, what do you guys want? I'm going to make it. So whatever it is, you just tell me what you want. I'm going to set the goals to get it. It's going to take a certain amount of time. My wife wants an Infiniti QX80. Okay, sure. Throw it in the bag. Right. And I'm mapping it out how much it's going to cost, how many doors I need based on my cash flow and everything like that. I'm doing the math. And the way I look at it now, the way I think about finances now is how much can my passive income buy me, right? Beyond providing for my life. So I just need to grow my passive income streams. And that's literally it. And people talk about, Dave Ramsey with the debt snowball, paying debt down. You could actually have the investment snowball going way up to a point where it's self-sustaining perpetually forever. And I think it's, besides the cars, my wife's new house, obviously.
Nice.
Huge house right now, but you got to get a ridiculous house, right? The testament to the ego, that Rod said.
You know what? It's okay. It's okay. But the fact that you want to do things for, that's for your wife, the vehicles and the stuff. I just thought, sorry, I kind of pre-framed the question that way, but we all have drivers, and I know your drivers, your kids, and that.
Yeah. Actually, even more than the kids. Yeah. the kids, yes, because I want to be able to have them understand how they can live a life of abundance and freedom and opportunity if they want it. All right. But for me, the question that's always burning in the back of my mind is I look forward. I'm 75 years old at the end of my life, and I look back, did I maximize those opportunities that I had? I had the knowledge, I had, a peek into like this crazy other life that people can live if they work hard enough and they're smart enough and, they're financially savvy enough. Am I just gonna say, no, I'll just go ahead and be comfortable. I got a great paying job. I can kick my feet up right now, do absolutely nothing, and have a very comfortable life. Right? Me and my wife make plenty of money and do all that stuff. But to be able to push myself and hit that other echelon, that next level, and be in a position where I can give back to a whole bunch of other people and free their minds and teach them the things that I know, I feel like I would be doing disservice to myself. I would live with like crazy regret and die with that regret if I didn't even take the opportunity to push. Giving myself 10 years. I'm pushed really, really hard for 10 years and see what it looks like. Come up for air, look around and be like, what happened? And then at that point, I can reassess and then do something else.
Love it, man. Freaking love it.
Yeah. So Rasul, what's through this whole multifamily journey, what's some bad advice you've gotten along the way that you think the listeners should maybe look out for and avoid?
Absolutely. Underwriting, bad advice. I've seen this so many times. Please, please, please do not change numbers. That's to make the deal work. I've seen rent escalate. Somebody pitched me a 30% IRR on a full gut rehab on this deal in Houston. 30%. Okay. And I looked at the underwriting. I was like, well, the numbers they're okay. What's happening? There's something I'm missing. And I looked and I peered into it. It was like on one of these hidden tabs. And I opened it, and their rent escalator was 10% for 10 years straight. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Don't. The numbers are what the numbers are. You'll find a deal, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I've underwritten personally the deals that I sourced, over 100 deals, and not a single one of them worked.
Yeah.
And of the deals that I have right now, 4 of them work. That other people had bought to me, and I don't know how many hundreds of deals they had to go through to find it. So it really is finding a needle in a haystack, but the only thing that you have to do is you just don't stop looking. You'll eventually find it.
Well, you learn from the looking. You learn from the looking anyway. So how the heck are you going to learn if you don't kiss a lot of frogs? That's how you learn. I hear people bemoaning it, but that's how you look at enough deals, you get to a point where you can smell if a deal's a good deal. So don't avoid it or bitch about it. Just go through the process and learn and grow and become more and you're a perfect example of that, man. And so listen, I've really enjoyed this episode with you, buddy. You've added tremendous value and just shown what's possible, So if you had, one thing you could tell someone listening that hasn't taken action maybe, or thinking about this, think they want to do it, maybe a little afraid of it, maybe they're in analysis paralysis or whatever, what might you say to that person or those people?
Do it. Honestly. And analysis paralysis is the definition of how I used to be. Like I said, I started reading these real estate books back in 2006. I had the knowledge. I knew, I read The Millionaire Next Door. I know how people are buying homes, building equity, doing other stuff, cash out refinancing and doing other things. Like of all the things that I know right now, if I can go back to myself at 23 years old when I got out of the military, I didn't spend a dime. I was an introvert back then, really shy. I had 40 G saved up, maybe on an $18,000 a year salary. I had $40,000 saved up and I blew it all clubbing and drinking in 2 years. It was crazy. But, take that action, and even if you don't know everything that you need to know and how a deal works, the only thing that you need to know is the next thing to do.
Yeah.
Take that out the way and then figure out what the next thing to do is. If you don't know, call me, call Rod, hit me up with whatever, right?
Yeah. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, take that first step, the next step will be revealed. And that's just how it works. You can drive all the way across the country, only seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you'll make it. You'll hit some obstacles possibly, but other people have done it. And that's how it works in this business as well.
Oh, and that's great. I do want to say that too. When you hit those obstacles, that fear of failure is it's a stupid thing to be afraid of, because those failures are how you learn. I made so many mistakes with my Airbnb business, but it made us multiple six figures in making every mistake you could think of: flat roof, water damage, all kinds of bad plumbing, everything that you can think of that can go wrong with a property can go wrong. And we had a whole bunch of seminars going through that. And everything that we learned to make us better on the other side, we were still stronger. Which, like you said, what's hard to somebody else is like easy to me now, the things that people complain about. But you have to go through it. Look for failure, right? Don't try to fail, but don't be afraid of having those lessons come up and teach you what you need to know in order to get to that next level.
Yeah, we fail our way to success. You know, I will tell you, if you're not having setbacks or things, you're frankly not trying. Let's just be real about it. Okay, you know who you are listening. Okay, if you're not having setbacks or failures, then you're not trying. And that's how you grow. That's how you become more. And when you lose more than 50 million, come talk to me so I feel better about my $50 million seminar. But, you know, I've had multiple seminars throughout my life, and that's how you grow and learn and become more. Well, listen, great to see you, brother. And look forward. We're having a Warrior Only event coming up really soon. And so all the Warriors will get together yeah. So anyway, good to see you, bud. We'll talk soon, brother. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Rasul.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411.